Hey everybody, James from On Type here, and today we're talking about the differences between extroverts and introverts. So let's begin. Alright, so let's get into some of these differences between extroverts and introverts. So extroverted types are initiating types. They're one and the same. Extroverted types use initiation to both obtain information and just interact socially in general. So you'll probably know this. This is probably something that's pretty pop culture. Extroverts like to talk to people. They like to go up to people, start conversations all the time. They don't mind talking to multiple people at the same time. So stuff like this can be very common. They prefer to initiate topics of conversation as well. So initiating types or extroverts like to kind of lead the conversation. They like to bring up what they want to talk about. They want to bring up what they want to know from the other person. If they're looking to kind of access the other person's introverted functions, they'll use their extroverted functions to do this by bringing up topics, maybe asking questions, kind of like if you think of an interviewer and an interviewee. The interviewer will bring up topics, ask questions, whereas the interviewee will answer, stay on topic, and kind of follow their lead. And that's very much how conversation can go between an extrovert and an introvert, especially if they haven't maybe developed the other sides of their mind as much. In general, initiating or extroverted types are not as fearful to interact with others socially and prefer to discuss with others in order to make their own internal judgments or perceptions because they really rely on the external world. They like to know what other people think if they're a TE user or what other people feel if they're an FE user. They like to know what other people have experienced if they're an SE user, and they like to know what other people would want or what other people would do if they're an NE user. So they use that kind of external world to make their own decisions and judgments and perceptions and be certain of them because they're more certain with the external world or other people's ideas and perceptions and decisions than they are with their own. And that's kind of a big differential, I don't think that's a word, but difference between these two. So for responding types, introverted types in general, they use their introverted functions more to make decisions and interact socially. So they're kind of like the interviewee. They like to be asked questions. They like to have the other person set the pace, bring up the topics, keep the conversation going, talk more. And they like to kind of be in that position of kind of letting the other person take the lead in a social situation. They prefer to just respond to topics of conversation, and in general, they're a little bit more fearful to interact with people in the external world. So while initiating types, extroverted types have more of a fear to their internal world and kind of a confidence to the social world, introverted or responding types will be more fearful to interact with the external world, but more confident interacting with their internal world. But, like I said, they have that anxiety socially. So, it might not be that they don't enjoy socializing. This is kind of a common misconception. Everybody enjoys socializing. Everyone can enjoy being alone. That's just universal. Extroverts in general will be more anxious to be alone because they have to deal with their introverted function and their introverted world without any help from external sources, whereas introverts, when having to deal with external sources, won't get to process their internal world and they'll rely on kind of a more anxious situation. They'll be in a more anxious situation in general and have to kind of deal with external sources of information which they're not as confident in, they're not as kind of optimistic about in general. So it's a really big difference. It's not just about what they can enjoy, because any type can enjoy both of these kind of situations. Of course, introverts want relationships, extroverts want some time alone sometimes, but what the real difference is what are they more afraid of? What's more kind of, it makes them more anxious or more apprehensive to do? What takes more of their energy? What can they do for long periods of time very easily versus what is something that is a little bit more, or something in their mind is a little bit more of a undesirable option. So let's look at the different types of extroverted types within this framework in the 16 type structure. So we have starter versus structure types. So the two types of extrovert types are starter and structure types. So starter types are informative. They enjoy giving extra kind of information in any of their conversations, extra context. They'll tell you things, too much information kind of comes from starter types. They'll tell you things you don't need to know, but they want to kind of give all this information. They want you to know all the context, all of the information, so that you can kind of make your conclusion about it. And they kind of give you, extra information about, if they're an SI user, they might tell you extra information about their past, or, my aunt was this person, and just to give you this information, they knew this person, and this person knew this person, and they can give a lot of different information, informative types, and they may not even get to the point or be as direct. They may kind of dance around subjects. They may dance around, giving the main vital information just because they want to make sure you have all that context to really understand what they're saying. So that's something that's very indicative of a starter type for sure. And then we have structure types, which, while extroverted and can talk a lot, are more direct with what they say. They're more straight to the point. You can tell they're kind of no nonsense. They're very straight to the point. They're often, the type of people who will be bosses, the type of people who will be in that kind of business sense. Straight to the point, very get things done. Structure types want to oversee things, and are more directive to other people in general. They can direct others around as well. Whereas starter types prefer initiating new energy and life into projects, structure types like to oversee them. So starter types may enjoy bringing new people into a project, bringing new life in, getting people together, coordinating different people, bringing other people together and starting things. They like to they may go tell other people a bunch of new information, they go tell another person a bunch of new information, and they use this kind of initiating plus informative disposition to really inform a lot of people, to tell people a lot of things, to connect people's ideas, let everyone know, oh, this person wants this person feels this way, and they can kind of communicate that way in a very, good way. Whereas structure types are more of the leader. They want to maintain the order, maintain control. They're not always going to try to inject new life into projects. They want to maintain what's good about the project, what's good about what they're doing, and they want to keep that order, keep control of things, make sure nothing gets messed up, no new chaos comes in that's negative. Where starter types see chaos as, this is new good potential. Structure types often see new chaotic things as bad potential, and that things that can make things more out of control and have a harder time getting to the outcome that they want. And then we have the two different types of introverted types. We have finisher versus background types. So these two different types are kind of what make up the different subsections within the 16 types. So we have finisher types who are direct. They prefer to be straight to the point with others. They get to the point. And by the way, if any of this is something you want to reference, you can go on our Instagram page at OnTypeTeam. We do have a type grid. You can also look up C.S. Joseph's type grid, where it lists all of these different elements. So if you want to know what type you are, what type others are, that's a great way to do it. You really need that resource. But we're just kind of going into these different elements. So finisher types, direct, straight to the point, just like the structure types are for the extroverts, whereas the background types are informative and, can supply additional context information, kind of just like the starter types. Finisher types prefer to use progression to work towards the end of a project, right? So they enjoy that, injecting new life, the new chaos, the new potentials, and kind of working towards the finish of something, and they're willing to take those steps and progress things and really just focus on that progress. Whereas background types like to kind of maintain order and control, kind of like structure types as well. They want to support the project from behind the scenes. They want to make sure that things are good and supported, and that there's kind of, I like to think of it as if background types are the foundation, whereas structure types are the roof. Roof, I guess. A little bit of my accent coming through. So they kind of maintain that structure, the roof and the kind of foundation. They kind of keep everything in hold, keep everything in place. One person's doing it from above, one person's doing it from below, or background types are doing it kind of subtly from behind the scenes, whereas structure types are kind of leading the charge in the front. So whether or not that analogy works for you, I'm not sure, but basically these types share a lot of those similarities in that way. So which are you? Which of these 4 different interaction styles are you? So you can think about what makes you more anxious when it comes to that extroverted versus introverted thing. Does making judgments and perceptions alone make you anxious, not sure what you think or feel, and want some input from others? Or do you have a hard time initiating with others and keeping up conversation and kind of getting input from others? Do you find that to be scary? Do you worry about what that's going to be, if others are going to, agree with you or not? Is that something that you really worry about? Or do you find it easy to initiate? Do you find it easy to bring up topics? Do you find it easy to socialize and talk with other people? Or are you more hesitant? You enjoy maybe socializing, but you need your time alone. You need time by yourself, and you kind of have a hard time doing too much of that. Are you more optimistic with your inner world? Are you quick to make decisions? If you were to walk into a store and you're not sure about something, are you gonna kind of think to yourself and try to make that decision yourself and not bother anyone? Or are you quick to kind of get someone's attention, get their input, get their feedback, and see what they think? That's a big difference between introverted and extroverted types, is how they handle some of these situations in life. It can be really hard to know at first. The honest answer is that it's not always easy for everyone. While some people might really be like, oh, I totally get it. I know I'm an introvert my whole life, or I know I'm an extrovert. For a lot of different people, it can be really hard to know, because all of the introverted types have extroverted functions that they can use and enjoy, and all the extroverted types have introverted functions they can use and enjoy, and of course do use, because extroverts have internal worlds and introverts have external worlds. So it's something that takes a lot of time to think about. Observe yourself in situations, see what are you more hesitant to do. Is it kind of take a little bit of effort to initiate with someone and have a conversation when you're not feeling it? Or is it something that comes really naturally and you have a harder time, maybe taking a back seat or kind of staying away from others? So it's something you can kind of try to think about and kind of try to assess. If you want more information on all these different interaction styles and the differences between these two, let me know in the comments below, because I can definitely do more videos on that in the future. And yeah, so subscribe down below if you want more content like this, and have a great day.